Good morning, everyone, and welcome to morning meditation. Change the name of it, and you can see the name on the title, God Within Meditation. So this morning, I have a quote for you from San Juan de la Cruz, aka St. John of the Cross, a Carmelite monk from the Middle Ages, lived in Spain. Good morning, Vicky. Here's the quote. Our greatest need is to be silent before this great God with the appetite and with the tongue. For the only language God hears is the silent language of love. The only language God hears is the silent language of love. Our greatest need is to be silent, St. John of the Cross wrote, and thanks for liking this video. It super helps. YouTube loves likes, loves. Anyway, this morning I want to talk a little bit about silence. So the other day we talked a little bit about placing your awareness, not your imagination, but your awareness on your third eye chakra. Now, you can place that same awareness, not your imagination, on any of your chakras. So you can focus entirely in one meditation on your heart chakra and put all of your mind right there. I encourage you to do so, to pick a chakra in a meditation and leave your mind in that place. We talked about linking our chakras together. And then I realized after I talked about this the other day that maybe I needed to add something to it, which is the idea that before you begin to link them together, you might want to practice finding where they are. And as I said the other day, it's not about learning their names or their colors or their effects. It's about putting your empty mind, your emptying mind with attention in these places. Okay? Then, once you're able to do that, you're able to link them together. So, that's sort of an aside for this morning, but I want to talk about what happens in meditation. So, you have your prayer chant and your mantra, and you're riding them on your breath up and down like a butterfly on your palm, and you're not crushing the butterfly and grasping at it. You're riding it very gently, and every time, as you know, your mind wanders, you simply come back to your prayer again. Always come back to your prayer. Don't let those, you can run down, you'll end up running down a stream of thoughts for little ways, and then you'll be like, oh, my prayer, and then you just come back to it. That's the very simple thing. Now, what happens is when you're observing your prayer and observing your breath riding up and down, eventually what happens is that the words just fall away. And you're left with observing just your breath rising and falling. And that's the beginning of silence. That's not the totality of it, but it's the beginning of it. And as soon as you think to yourself, no words, you're out. Back to your prayer again because you had a thought. And as soon as your words fall away and you're observing your breath, just observe your breath. Because then what happens is that your observation of your breath falls away and the silence gets deeper inside. And as soon as you think, oh, I'm not even observing my breath, pop, you're out again. You got to start all over again, back with the words, back with the breath, progression, back to dropping the words. They fall off by themselves. The observation of the breath, that falls off by itself. And when you're in the place where you stop observing the breath, your breathing will go way down. You won't be inhaling heavily or exhaling heavily. You're in the very beginning of silence. The thing about this meditation practice is that it really takes dedication. And when it doesn't work and your mind wanders and you can't control your mind, come back again the next day and do it again. And come back again the next day and do it again and do it again and do it again and do it again and keep showing up. And little by little, you're going to train your mind into being able to be observant of your prayer and observant of your breath and observant of the silence. It's really, truly in the silence that we hear. Meditation life is a form of prayer that never asks for anything. I'm not asking for anything from God. I'm not asking for wisdom, which is a good thing to ask for. I'm asking for the very presence of the divine itself in the silence. In the silence, the presence becomes manifest. And it's not just me saying this, okay? I'm not some kind of guru out here just saying this on my own. This is from the long history, and particularly in Christian meditation, John of the Cross, but many, many others around the world who aren't Christians, who might have been Jewish or Muslim or Hindu. It's always all about the silence. We can't stop our mind from thinking, but we can use our mind to stop our thinking. And that's what meditation life is all about. So thanks for liking the video this morning. I appreciate you 8 folks who did. I'm going to take a look at the chat for a second. And before we begin our meditation, my clock's all set for our 20 minutes. So Vicky, hello in Ohio. And moviegoer, beautiful day. Susie, hey Susie in Colorado Boulder. Karen Elise right here in the coast of Maine. Rob over from the North Shore of Massachusetts, because I'm a Bostonian. I don't have an accent anymore because I had a professor remove it from me, not surgically, but threatening to fail me if I continued to speak like I was from Boston because I was in a radio class. But I am, and I can speak Boston. So welcome. Hi there in the North Shore. Hey, Rob over there across the pond in Wales. Glad you're here today. Wanda, hey there. Crispy morning for Wanda and Sheila, North Carolina. Hey, Sheila. And moviegoer, I know it helps. It helps to know that the things I struggle with are the things others are going through. Meditation is not a simple thing. I mean, it's really simple in the practice itself. The hard thing is always returning to your mantra, always returning to your prayer. And the hard thing is sticking with it long enough for it to work. I promise you, you stick with it, it will work. It will work. All right. So as Jesus said, where two or more are gathered, I am there. We're talking about the I am. When we meditate together, we charge up each other like jumper cables, reaching through the magic of the internet from my heart to your heart and your heart to my heart and our hearts to each other's hearts. And we create like a collective in the moments of our meditation and raise our own vibration, our own spirituality, and we share this together. And it doesn't even have to happen when you're live. This can actually happen when you watch this in a recording. And the reason why I know that works is because I spent 15 years in television. Every single Friday would record 270 word stories that then would be broadcast over the TV station on a daily basis. And people would write to me and say things like, when you are speaking my world, I quiet down and I feel the presence of God. And here's the thing that they never knew. I was never live. It was first on beta tape. Okay, because the TV stations were actually using beta tape before they switched to digital. And then it went to HD. I was never live. It doesn't have to be live. The presence doesn't need to be confined to time and space. So if you're watching this after the fact, you can still participate in that same collective of energy, that same energetic bubble that we enter into as we do this live. So, all right, enough of that chit chatty stuff. I'm going to set my clock for 20 minutes and I'll see you in 20. I'm going to pull down my hat today over my eyes like that because there's so much light. I try to always, in my practice, my personal practice, I always shut off all the lights. I never have lights on. And I'm always in a quiet place because I try to reduce the sensory stimulation. So I'm gonna kind of make my eyes shadowy so I don't get so much light right on my face. Anyway, see you in 20 minutes. Off we go. Oh, I'm going to make sure that's up. Last thing, as you begin your practice, relax your face, close your eyes, begin your breath, focus in your face, relax your muscles, follow your breath, follow your prayer. See you in 20. Those loons were pretty loud this morning. So, in my meditation this morning, I saw the eye appear in a glimpse. It looked like an eye right in front of my frontal lobe. Sometimes that happens. Sometimes the eye appears. Sometimes it appears like a gold light inside a indigo shaped blob. Sometimes it's just a purple indigo colored flash, kind of like a circle. And then that happened to me this morning. Did that happen to you, anyone? I'll stick around here for a minute or two, or 5 or 10, if you feel like commenting on how your meditation went. In my breath today, I started here. I slid my breath and my mind down my spine to my first chakra and back up again and repeated and repeated and, repeated. Is the eye looking out or looking in? It's both. So the eye looks out and in at the same time. It's like an opening. It's like an opening. I force my mind to look within. And by looking within, I go out. The only way out is in. The door of the inner soul swings both ways. It opens out and it opens in. The trap door opens up and it opens down. The idea is simply to get out of the way and let the door or the eye open on its own. So yes, Wanda, both. Vicky, boy, that was good. I feel like a balloon. You felt like a balloon. Thanks, Peter. I think you mean you felt filled. It's a filling practice. And one of the great benefits of a meditation life, it's like a, it's like a, I've seen it like a silken silver thread right down from my crown, right into my belly, and spooling like the old way of spooling thread on a spindle, and filling my belly with a spindle of silken light. And then during the day, I can keep that light or dispense that light, but it can fill you like a balloon, fill you and fill you. It's the power of it. Rob, thanks. In your daily practice, do you meditate multiple times a day? Sometimes I do, Rob. Sometimes I I have my 20 minutes, and then during the day, I can meditate for a minute or 3 minutes or 20 minutes. Wherever I am and whatever I'm doing, I can stop, take a breath. Generally, 20 minutes in the morning, and then some days, other times during the day. I tend not to practice meditation at night because it keeps me up. Too restful, I guess. I felt the earth connect under me, primary feathers. Yeah, so you have a chakra down below your first chakra. There are other chakras outside yourself, outside your physical self. Because really, what your chakras are, what that energy is your consciousness contained in a physical form. And you are not, I am not, we are not actually completely only inside our bodies. You can connect right down inside to the earth and up above as well, and outside as well. I'm glad you felt connected to the earth underneath you. We can talk about the mullahs in your feet someday too. Uh, If I feel static like energy course through me, is that physical or spiritual or both? It tingles as I contemplate. And yeah, it's kind of a combination of the two things because the spirit, soul, consciousness doesn't have any physical receptors, but it can feel like that. That's why when we feel the presence of the divine, it feels like this vibratory buzz or this hum or this electrical connection, this tingle. That's not the thing itself. That is our physical feeling of the thing itself. The thing itself is like the silence. It has no substance here. The substance that it produces here is a result of our being here. So yeah, tingle's good. Lovely description. Thank you, Vicky. Long ago, I defensively shut down intuition in favor of rigid analytical rationality, and this is helping me to heal backwards and become what I always was. Thank you, says Wanda. Rigid, well, the rigid part's not so good, but the analytical rationality, you get to keep that while you're practicing meditation. It never eliminates that part, but I'm glad to hear that you're in the process of unlearning. Meditation is a practice of unknowing and unlearning, to getting underneath and inside, beneath and inside the intuition that exists in all of us. That intuition that exists in all of us, way down at its core level, is the noetic understanding of the divine itself. That's the whisper, that's the silence. You can remain analytical and rational. I'm analytical and rational. I use those tools on a daily basis because they serve me well in the world, but they're not the only tools and they're not my primary tools. I'm glad to hear that this is cracking you back open again. And now you're going to be able to combine these two things, these rational analytical skills that you have, that you've developed, and your intuitive spiritual side. And you can use them in tandem. They're not mutually exclusive. You use them together. It's an amazing gift that God gives us. Primary feathers. I'm in a new place over a quartz outcropping in Vermont. Yeah, crazy thing about quartz. When I was a kid, I had one of those crystal quartz radio sets. You wrap a copper wire around basically a toilet paper tube, and you connect it to some crystal, and you connect it to a speaker, and the crystal has enough electrical energy in it to run the radio. And as I mentioned, I was out of Boston, and I could get WRKO AM. I don't remember what the numbers were so long ago, but I used to listen to WRKO on my crystal radio set. The thing about deep meditation is that you don't need to rely on any outside tools. They work, but you don't need to rely on them. They can energize you, but the real energy is not physical. The real energy is spiritual. So cool about the quartz crystals under you in Vermont. I wonder if the other Vermonters have that same kind of impact. I'd be interested to know. I have some other friends up there, up in the Northeast Kingdom. I love unlearning. Yeah, unlearning. It's important. Knowledge is important, but it also is confining. The knowledge that we're talking about here is not rational knowledge. It's not analytical knowledge. It's not an accumulation of data. It's the elimination of our rigid thinking in order to access the oneness itself. Karen G, such a paradox. I get a vast, open, indescribable place, and in the instant I recognize it, it's gone. That's the place, Karen. That's the place. The deeper practice of meditation, that indescribable, vast place, is the beginning of the silence itself. That's the sitting place in the silence. And the crazy thing is, okay, as you practice this and you get into this vast space and you learn, and you will learn not to think while you're in that space. It's not an easy task, but you will learn to do that and you'll be able to sit there longer. The huge advantage for that, besides creating the emptiness inside yourself for the presence to fill, and the elimination of the false self and the dying to the little death that you die every time that happens, the little death of the ego, is that then If you are ever so fortunate to have a rapturous, ecstatic event in your spiritual life where you get plucked out of yourself in an out of body experience and raptured into a heaven to have a divine direct experience, a transformative experience of the union, that tool of not observing will serve you well because the longer you don't use your brain, or that's not the right word, recognize with your consciousness where you are and what's going on, you just be in that place, the longer you get to stay there. The same thing applies inside your meditation, where you learn not to recognize the vast space, just sit in it. That same tool is applicable in your mystical life, which, of course, meditation makes you more sensitive to. This is an attunement of your radio receiver, your radio receiver, your radio receiver. You're attuning your wavelength, like that crystal radio set, to pick up the frequency of the divine. And one of these days, I'm going to talk about the Om. We'll be talking in the Amen or the Amin. Maybe next time I'll talk about that part of it, that vibratory part of it. WRKO 680, right? That's it, Rob. WRKO 680 on your AM dial. Karen G, such a paradox. Yeah, I touched on that one. Unlearning is a deeper knowing. Unlearning is the deeper knowing. It's the noetic knowledge inside your soul. So true, primary feathers. So thanks everybody for coming. It's 8:42 here on the coast of Maine, and thanks for liking the video. Thanks for your support. I appreciate all the help that you give me to make this happen. Um, See you next time. See you on Sunday for Not Church. I'm going to be addressing a subject that I wanted to address a couple of weeks ago about belief and faith this week. And so we'll touch into that and a couple of other things as well. Well, thank you, Karen. Just doing my job. All right. Peace and love, everybody. Namaste. Thanks for coming. Appreciate all the likes on the video, subscribe, and all that kind of stuff. Peace and love, everyone. Talk to you again. There's my end stream.